Hi, and welcome back to Purple Collar Life. In today's video, we're back out here with the Ford 8N tractor. This is our 1948 Ford 8N tractor that has been here on the property since new. We are the fourth generation to use this tractor. In today's video, we're going to talk about 7 upgrades you can make to your Ford 8N tractor that'll make it better to use, safer to use, and just a more enjoyable experience. Now, most of these 7 upgrades you can do on your own, probably in your garage with a basic set of tools. Some of them require a little bit more effort and probably a professional, but where possible, I will leave an Amazon affiliate link down below to the parts we're talking about so that if you're interested in doing these upgrades to your Ford 8N, you can scroll down through the description of this video and please consider clicking those Amazon links. The parts won't cost you any more. Amazon just appreciates that we're sending you that way to buy the pieces. And as always, if you have a local supplier that you can buy these things from, I always support buying local. We're going to talk about these 7 upgrades from front to back of the machine. Now, this is assuming you've got a good running machine already. If the machine's mechanically not running, I would start with those issues first. These are, you've already got the tractor, it's running good, there's no maintenance issues to it. These are just upgrades you can do over time to make your tractor easy to use, safer to use, and have some benefits that you wouldn't have otherwise. So starting right here at the front, one of the first upgrades I would make, definitely a front bumper if you don't already have one. You can see we use our front bumper for 2 purposes. First of all, as a bumper to keep brush and debris from hitting the front grille. If you are tractor shopping, or if you've seen a lot of old Ford tractors, 8Ns, 2Ns, 9Ns, Jubilees, NAAs, even the 600 and 800 series, tractors that don't have the front bumper oftentimes have a lot of grille damage, a lot of dents to the front of the tractor. That's because oftentimes tractors are used in the woods or for pushing things, and having a bumper is a great idea. I'll put an Amazon affiliate link down below to a bumper similar to this. This is actually a Ford bumper made specifically for the Ford 8N tractors, but there are aftermarket versions available. They're really easy, bolt on to the front axle of the tractor. You might need some longer bolts than what was already in the axle, but you can find those locally at your hardware shop. The second purpose we use our front bumper for is front ballast. And I made a video in the past that I'll put a link to up above about the importance of front ballast on your tractor when you're working with the tractor like this. So make sure you check out that video for safety reasons, why it's important to have some front ballast on your Ford 8N tractor. The second thing I want to point out to you is this alternator. This Ford 8N tractor is an early Ford 8N. This is a 1948. It has a front mount distributor. I talk all about the differences between the early Ford 8Ns and the later Ford 8Ns in a video called How to Start and Operate Your Ford 8N Tractor, and I'll put a link to that one up above. But one of the nice upgrades to your Ford 8N tractor, we're going to call this upgrade number 2, is converting to 12 volt. And the advantages to the 12 volt system are it starts faster, especially in cold climates like ours, and it makes the lights brighter so you can have more visibility if you are working at night. And when you make your 12 volt conversion, you can change your system to be from a positive ground to a negative ground. So we've got the alternator, we've changed to a negative ground, we've got a 12 volt battery, we've made the changes so that this tractor starts much faster, has brighter lights, and is much easier to use. Also a lot easier to pick up a 12 volt standard farm and tractor battery than an old 6 volt battery. Upgrade number 3 that I want to talk about is gauges. If your tractor does not have working gauges, or if you're not sure how accurate they are, gauges are pretty cheap insurance to make sure you've got the right oil pressure and the right voltage charging your battery. Now, when we upgraded to the 12 volt system, we also upgraded our amp meter so that we would know exactly the charge status and that we're charging the battery. And then we also have upgraded to the oil gauge here so that we always know we have the appropriate oil pressure in our system. These are 2 really inexpensive and really easy upgrades to do to your old Ford tractor. The next upgrade I want to point out is the starter switch. You can see this is not the original, and it's really important to use the design starter switch for your Ford tractor. I've had a lot of comments in previous videos about starting this tractor without being on the seat, and that is an excellent safety point. You should always be on the seat when you're starting the tractor. Now, in a couple of videos for video purposes, for recording purposes, to point something out, I've started the tractor without being seated, but this tractor actually will not allow you to start it if you are in gear. So if I put the tractor in any gear, this starter switch will not push down. The starter switch only can turn over when this tractor's in neutral. That allows the starter switch to be pushed all the way down to start the tractor. So that's the advantage of having the proper starting system to your Ford 8N tractor. I know a lot of people have either wired around this switch so they can start it with a regular turn key, or found a way that they can disable the neutral safety, the safety neutral of this, so that they can start their tractor with it being in gear. I just think that's unwise. I like to use the OEM type equipment that will only let the starter button push down if the tractor is in neutral. So 1 was the bumper, 2 was a 12-volt conversion, 3 was updating the gauges, 4 was updating or making sure you have the right starter switch, 5 is the seat. Now I know a lot of people are putting aftermarket seats on that have armrests and stuff like that. Personally, I like the classic look of this tractor, but these seats are not very comfortable if they're just the metal pan seat. You can get a nice seat cover like this with some cushioning in it and some drain holes, and they're not that expensive. You can even get them that are Ford branded that make them look really nice on this tractor. So another nice upgrade is some cushioning for your seat if you've got the old metal pan style seat. Again, you can get those aftermarket seats that have a backrest and armrests. Personally, I like the look of the old metal pan with some nice cushiony comfort on top. The next thing as we work our way back the tractor is tires and wheels. Now, these are an upgrade that you probably cannot do yourself. A lot of times you have to take this to a shop, have a new tire mounted on a wheel. And in a lot of cases, you're actually mounting a new tire on a new wheel. Unlike car tires, chances are you will wear down the sidewalls or other parts of this tire long before you wear down the tread, especially if you're just using it in the woods and the field. We rarely wear down any tread on tractor tires. What we see is that over time, you get a lot of weather checking and bad spots in the tire long before the tire tread wears down. The other thing you'll see on these old tractors, and I mentioned this in a previous video also, these tires are oftentimes loaded with calcium for weight, and that weight back here is really nice on the tractor. It lets you go places you couldn't go otherwise, lets you haul some implements a lot easier, but that calcium will eat through these steel wheels. We did a tire replacement video where we talked about the fact that when we bought this new tire, we still filled the wheel with calcium. If I could go back and do that all over again, I'd probably fill it with washer fluid, windshield washer fluid. You won't get as much ballast weight out of windshield washer fluid as you will with calcium loaded tires, but you still get some liquid ballast that cannot freeze in the wintertime without corroding through your wheels. So just a tip there, if you are upgrading wheels and tires, maybe consider filling them with some other type of liquid ballast rather than the calcium. The other nice thing, when you get new tires, you can get them a little bit wider. These wheels were originally designed for 10-inch by 28-inch tires, 10 by 28s. These tires are 11.2 by 28, so we're getting a little bit more width in our tire tread. That helps you float along the ground a little bit better without digging in so much. And I just like the 11.2 look a lot better than the standard 10-inch original equipment wide tire on these tractors. Everybody always talks about the rear tires and wheels on the tractor, but we should also mention the fronts. You can see these Ford 8N wheels and tires are the original setup, the tall skinny tire on the tall skinny wheel. I like the look of these. I know a lot of people have replaced these wheels with a more small, like maybe a 13, 14, 15-inch rim with a wider tire, and that's fine if that works for you. Personally, I like the stock look, but you can see these are newer tires, just the traditional through-rib tire, and the nice thing about the new tires are they're not always going flat. Once you get those worn through sidewalls or you've got some thorns or something in it over time, you're always filling up your tire whenever you want to use your tractor. The nice thing about new tires is that happens a lot less often. On this other wheel and tire that we have not replaced as recently, you can see there's a lot of calcium rot, especially near the valve stem. So this is a wheel that we're going to have to replace, and it'll make sense to go ahead and replace the tire at the same time. Because even though the tread's still fine on this, there's a lot of checking and dry rot along the side here. So it just makes sense. When we're going to replace the wheel, we'll also replace the tire. The last thing I want to point out here is this overrunning clutch. I've mentioned this in several videos where we talk about brush hogging or using the finish mower. This is a really important piece for on your tractor, and I talk about the reasons why in those other videos, but basically anything attached to the tractor's PTO, if you don't have the overrunning clutch As the momentum of like the flywheel in the brush hog or the mower blades on the finish mower, as that momentum slows down, it's still going to push the tractor forward or backwards. The overrun clutch allows those things like the flywheel on the brush cutter to keep spinning without turning the transmission of the tractor. So this is a massive safety addition to your machine. These overrunning clutches are not that expensive. You can easily put them on yourself. I have had some people comment about the fact that then this is open and exposed, and that is true. There used to be, and we have the original OEM cap that would cover up the PTO shaft. Once you add the overrunning clutch, you can no longer use that cap because it does not fit on the tractor anymore. That space is taken up by this overrunning clutch. There you go, 7 relatively easy improvements you can make to your Ford 8N tractor that make it easier to use, safer to use, and a lot more fun to use. Once again, links for a lot of those will be down below in the description, so if you're interested in ordering them through Amazon, go ahead and use those links. If you've got a local supplier, always shop local. If you'd like to know more about Ford 8N tractors or old Ford tractors in general, make sure you check out our playlists on our channel here at Purple Collar Life. We've made lots of videos about understanding the fuel level, how to use a brush hog, how to use a back blade, a lot of tasks that we do with our Ford 8N tractor, and that playlist might be very helpful to you. And thanks for watching the video. If you found it informative and entertaining, give us a big thumbs up, leave those comments down below, and we really look forward to seeing you again the next time. Okay, I'm getting ready to pull this back into the building for the day, but I wanted to show you a couple things that you can take note of. First of all, even with the key turned on and the clutch in, I cannot push this starter button all the way down while the tractor's in gear. That's a safety feature. We talked about the importance of maybe replacing that if yours doesn't work that way. Second thing I want you to notice is with the 12-volt system, listen to how fast this thing turns over when you hit that button. It doesn't take nearly as long as it used to start the tractor now that the starter's moving a lot faster. So we're in neutral. The button will push down. We have been running, so I don't think we'll need the choke. Let's give it a try here. Yeah, much faster than when it's a 6-volt system.